The sun doesn't care if the grass appreciates its rays. It keeps on shining. Think about that for a second. The sun rises every single day. It gives life to everything on this planet. It nourishes the grass, the trees, the flowers, the crops. It powers every ecosystem. It sustains all life. And it doesn't care if the grass says thank you. It doesn't care if anyone appreciates it. It doesn't care if anyone notices. It doesn't care if anyone validates its work. It just keeps on shining. That's the principle we are exploring today. That's the doctrine we need to understand. Because most of us are not like the sun. Most of us are like the grass. We are waiting for someone to appreciate us. We're waiting for someone to validate us. We are waiting for someone to recognize our work. And that's why we are stuck. Today, we are going to explore what it means to be like the sun, to do your work regardless of recognition, to build in silence regardless of appreciation, to stay consistent regardless of results, to be indifferent to external validation while staying committed to your purpose. This is episode 23. Let's go. We are wired for validation, it's human nature. We want to be seen, we want to be appreciated, we want to be recognized. That's not weakness, that's human. But here's the problem: when you make your work dependent on validation, you give your power away. You give your power to the person who's supposed to appreciate you. You give your power to the audience. You give your power to the market. You give your power to the critics. And now your work is no longer about your purpose. Your work is about the approval. That's the trap. The sun doesn't fall into that trap. The sun doesn't need you to appreciate it to keep shining. The sun doesn't need you to validate it to keep burning. The sun doesn't need you to recognize it to keep giving life. The sun has one job: to shine. And it does that job regardless of whether anyone notices. That's the principle. Now, I'm not saying we should be indifferent to feedback. Feedback is valuable. Feedback helps you improve. But there's a difference between listening to feedback and being dependent on validation. Feedback is information, validation is emotion. And if you're dependent on the emotion, you're lost because validation is inconsistent. Some days people will appreciate you, some days they won't. Some days you'll get recognition, some days you'll be invisible. Some days people will celebrate you, some days people will criticize you. And if your work is dependent on that inconsistency, your work will be inconsistent too. But if your work is dependent on your purpose, your work will be consistent. You'll keep shining regardless of the weather. You'll keep shining regardless of who's watching. You'll keep shining regardless of who's appreciating. That's the sun principle. Let me show you what happens when you need validation. First, you become a people pleaser. You start making decisions based on what others want instead of what you believe. You start compromising your vision to get approval. You start diluting your message to make it more pleasable and more palatable. Second, you become fragile. One criticism breaks you. One rejection defeats you. One period of invisibility makes you want to quit. Because your entire foundation is built on the approval of others. And when that approval is withdrawn, you collapse. Third, you stop taking risks. You only do what's safe. You only do what's guaranteed to get approval. You only do what's already been validated by someone else. And now you're not creating, you're copying. You're not leading, you're following. Fourth, you become resentful because you're doing all this work for validation and you're not getting it. Or you're getting it, but it's not enough. Or you're getting it, but it's from the wrong people. And now you are bitter, you're angry, you're frustrated. That's the cost of needing validation. The sun doesn't pay the cost, the sun just shines. And because the sun just shines, the sun gets everything it needs. The sun gets appreciated from those who understand its value. Sun gets recognition from those who see its power. The sun gets validation from those who benefit from its light. The sun doesn't do it for that. Sun does it because that's what the sun does. That's the principle. There's a scripture that captures this perfectly. Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 to 4. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. This is Jesus saying, do your work in secret, do your work without needing recognition, do your work because it's the right thing, not because you want to be seen. There's another scripture in Colossians chapter 3, verse 23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a result, as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. This is saying, do your work for God, not for people. Do your work knowing that the only validation that matters is from God. Do your work because it's your purpose, not because you need approval. That's the principle. Your work is not for the people. Your work is for your purpose. Your work is for God. Your work is for the vision you're building. And when you understand that, everything changes. You stop needing validation from people. You stop needing recognition from the market. You stop needing approval from critics. You just keep shining like the sun. Let me give you some examples of people who understood this principle. For years, Steve Jobs built products that no one asked for. The Macintosh, the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone. No one validated these ideas. No one said, yes, we need this. In fact, people said, no, we don't need this. But Steve kept building, kept shining. He didn't need validation from the market. He had a vision and he executed that vision regardless of whether people appreciated it. And now those products have changed the world. Vincent van Gogh painted for years without recognition. He sold one painting in his entire lifetime. One. He didn't have validation. He didn't have appreciation. He didn't have recognition, but he kept painting. He kept shining. He painted because he had to. He painted because it was his purpose. Now his paintings are worth millions. Now he's recognized as one of the greatest artists who's ever lived. But he didn't do it for that. He didn't. He did it because he had to. Denzel Washington was rejected for years. He auditioned for roles and didn't get them. He was told he wasn't good enough. He didn't have validation. He didn't have recognition, but he kept working. He kept shining He kept showing up. He kept improving. And now he's one of the greatest actors of all time. But he didn't do it for that. He did it because he believed in himself. The Apostle Paul was imprisoned. He was beaten. He was rejected. He was mocked. He didn't have validation from the world. He didn't have recognition from the powerful. He didn't have appreciation from the masses. But he kept preaching. He kept shining. He kept spreading the gospel. He did it because he believed in his purpose. And now his letters are part of the Bible. Now his work has changed billions of lives. But he didn't do it for that. He did it because he had to. All of these people understood the sun principle. They did their work regardless of validation. They kept shining regardless of recognition. They stayed committed to their purpose regardless of appreciation. And that's why they succeeded. So, how do you become like the sun? How do you work without needing validation? Here's the framework. Step one, define your purpose. What are you building? Why are you building it? Who are you building it for? Not for approval, not for recognition, but for purpose. Define that purpose clearly. Step two, separate your work from your worth. Your work is what you do, your worth is who you are. If your work gets criticized, that doesn't mean you're not worthy. If your work doesn't get recognized, that doesn't mean you're not valuable. Separate the two. Step three, build for the long game. Validation is short term, purpose is long term. Build for the long game, build something that will matter in 10 years, not something that will get likes today. Step four, measure by your standards, not theirs. Don't measure your success by their approval, measure your success by your standards. Did I do my best? Did I stay true to my vision? Did I execute with excellence? That's the measure. Step five, celebrate the work, not the recognition. When you finish something, celebrate the work, celebrate the effort, celebrate the execution. Don't celebrate the likes, don't celebrate the comments, don't celebrate the validation, celebrate the work. Step six, remember the sun. When you start needing validation, remember the sun. The sun doesn't care if the grass appreciates its rays. Sun just keeps shining. You do the same. Just keep shining. That's the framework. Here's what most people don't understand. When you stop needing validation, you get more validation. It's counterintuitive, but it's true. Because when you're not trying to get approval, you're free to do your best work. You're free to take risks. You're free to be authentic. You're free to be different. And that's what people actually respect. That's what people actually appreciate. That's what people actually validate. They don't validate desperation. They don't validate people pleasing. They don't validate compromise. They validate excellency. They validate authenticity. They validate purpose. And you can only deliver those things when you stop needing validation. So the paradox is stop needing validation and you'll get more validation. Stop seeking recognition and you will get more recognition. Stop trying to be appreciated and you will be appreciated because you're free to do your best work. Like the sun doesn't seek validation. The sun doesn't seek recognition. The sun doesn't seek appreciation. Sun just shines. And because the sun just shines, the sun is the most appreciated thing on this planet. That's the principle. There's a scripture in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Your appointed time is now. Your season is now. And this season, you need to understand that your work is not for validation. Your work is for purpose. You need to understand that the only approval that matters is from God. The only recognition that matters is from those who understand your vision. The only appreciation that matters is from those who benefit from your work. And you need to keep shining regardless of whether you get that. Because your work is too important to be dependent on validation. Your vision is too important to be dependent on recognition. Your purpose is too important to be dependent on appreciation. So just keep shining like the sun, regardless of the weather, regardless of who's watching, regardless of who's appreciating. Just keep shining. The sun doesn't appreciate, the sun doesn't care if the grass appreciates its rays, keeps on shining. That's the principle. That's the doctrine. That's what separates the men who build empires from the men who build for applause. So the question for you is: are you the sun or the grass? Are you shining regardless of validation? Or are you waiting for someone to appreciate you? Because if you're waiting, you'll be waiting forever. But if you're shining, you'll change the world. That's the appointed time. That's the doctrine. Keep shining. This is built, not felt by the rice code. I'll see you the next one.